So first up, we're going to look ahead to the Dali July Cup, and you may have noticed that we've traded in Rishi for a younger model. Chris Dixon has joined us for this episode. Chris, looking ahead to the July Cup, it looks like a really good mix with typically the King's Stand runners taking on the Golden Jubilee runners.
Yeah, it does, and obviously it's one of the highlights of the sprinting season, the July Cup. Massive highlight of the season for many people last year as well, and really looking forward to the race. And for all that we don't have the winner of the Diamond Jubilee turning up with Black Caviar obviously packed off back to Australia, I think the tying the two form lines together is really interesting. We've got horses coming in from elsewhere as well, so a very interesting racing prospect.
And Steve, you touched upon how this race can draw new challengers to this division.
Yeah, it's the time where you're the very best of every generation are the classic horses, and even if you're half of a mind that the horse won't stay a mile, you often give a horse a go in a trial or a race just to see if their stamina will leak out, and this becomes the first sort of real opportunity for those horses. So they're good horses who didn't get a trip. As often, you go back the last 30 years, this race is littered with horses like that. It's also, just touched on the International as well, because it's close to Ascot, the International horses are still over here. So I think in many ways it's the most varied sprint of the whole year.
So it's a real cocktail of opinions, no doubt, and I'm sure you'll hear plenty here. We'll start with Bated Breath, shall we, Chris? And in many ways, he is the very consistent horse of this set of horses. He just can't get that Group 1 win.
No, I think he's had 7 goes at this point in Group 1 company. On 4 occasions he's finished second, on each occasion by less than a length. So he's not doing much wrong. His consistency is admirable. He started this season over 5 furlongs, a big run in the King's Stand last time out, and a nice win in the Temple Stakes at Haydock the time before that. And I'm pretty sure that he's a Group 1 horse in the making, and at some time the door will open, they'll let him in and he'll become a Group 1 winner. It might well be here. He went so close in the race 12 months ago. I think the return to 6 furlongs, for all that you wouldn't claim it to be a massive positive, it is certainly not a negative. So I think he arrives here as a player.
Okay. Unfortunately, the weather has really conspired against him this year, hasn't it? And if we have another wet run-up to the July Cup, that would be a concern, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is the worry. He's got form on softish ground, but I think it's pretty fair to say that the sound of the surface, the better he is. And he has been unfortunate at that in the past. And he's just very, very nearly good enough to win one of these. But because of that, I think he probably needs everything perfect to give him a really good chance.
Do you perceive him doing anything wrong in himself?
I really don't. I don't think he does. I think he's a real good cruiser that he showed that woman in the Temple Stakes this year. I think he tries hard, but he tried hard at Ascot. I just think he is, as Chris said, he is good enough to win one, and I think he will win one, but he just needs everything right on the day.
Perhaps chief of the international challenges is the mare Hortensia. Now, Connections were disappointed with her run in the King's Stand. Can she do better in the July Cup? Michael Hills brought her to the track to give her quite a serious workout.
She's got a proper engine. Paul wanted me just to get used to the dip. I've obviously ridden here a lot, so that he wanted me to feel what she was like. And it's very important for a horse to take it on. You get a horse that backs off it, you're going to flounder in the dip. And when I asked her to go down the hill, she put her head down and really took it.
She handled it well.
Handled it very well. Obviously, you get in race conditions, but I couldn't have been. She ticked every box for me this morning.
Oh, right.
And the way she finished, going in, the top of the hill, I was very impressed.
I think they were right to be disappointed with her effort at Ascot, really, but she wouldn't be the first horse, and I think we'll say this about a few horses when we're talking over the course of this programme, that hasn't handled Ascot, and you can kind of wipe a poor run at Ascot from the record, I think. She's had plenty of racing. She has, I think, 11 from 31 in her career. She's won 2 Group 1s. And the mare Danform, when she won Group 1 company over there, 15 runners in that race, 9 of them were Group 1 winners. So that was a race that had real depth to it. And I think you can definitely see her running a lot better here. And the fact that she's had a sighter has to be taken as a bit of a positive, because it's something different to her. She's now been here and done a serious piece of work.
So that was the King's Stand. How about the Diamond Jubilee? Society Rock is a horse that often runs a really good race at Royal Ascot, Steve, and he did again.
He missed the break and he had a lot to do after that, and still didn't get beat very far. So it's another good run on the back of a good reappearance run at York. He is a good horse. He's a Group 1 winner. I think the more rain we have in the build-up, I think helps. I think he likes cutting the ground. But the fact remains at the moment that the July course, for all it's called a stiff course, I don't think it's stiff enough for him. The Standard Time will tell you it's not the stiffest of sprint tracks, and I think he might need a bit more of a test. I think the more soft ground, the better for him.
Another international challenger is Krypton Factor. He ran in the Diamond Jubilee behind Black Caviar. Were they disappointed with that, do you think?
It was a respectable effort, wasn't it? But probably no more than that. My problem really with the Diamond Jubilee is that they were just all in a heap, and it just looks a bit of a mess as a form guide, really. The other point with Krypton Factor is that all of his best form has come on artificial surfaces on the Tappeta over at Meydan in Dubai. So coming here, a different set of circumstances on the turf once again, I'd happily enough take him on, I think.
Librano ran really well in the July Cup last year. He's been in good form this season as well, Chris.
He has. He kind of lost his way, really, at the back end of last season, but he's come back with a listed win at Salisbury, a bit of a messy race, and then he won back here, the race that he took before finishing in the fourth in the July Cup last year. So he likes the track, he's got plenty of form here. I don't think he's quite up to Group 1 standard, really, nowadays, and I thought that he very much got the run of the race when he won here last time, so I think he'll probably just fall short again. He'll run well, but he'll probably fall short.
Last year, Hoofit made the ascent from handicap company into proper Group 1 territory. But, Steve, I just don't feel he's in the same kind of form this year.
I don't think he is. I say he's roughly the same horse as Bated Breath on his best form. He was, involved in a really close finish with him at Haydock last year, but the 2 runs this year at York and then last time at Newmarket, he's just lacked sparkle. You can make excuses for the trip last time out, but it's not like he travelled through the race like the Hoofit we know.
Sepoy will carry the Godolphin Blue. I think you quite like Sepoy, don't you, Chris?
I do. I think that there are a few points that are interesting with him. Just watching a couple of his videos from over in Australia, he's a real fluent mover, this horse. He's got a likeable attitude, and I really think that he'll take to the test that this track offers, and that this race in particular offers as well. He's got a very good strike rate. I think he's already a 10-time winner. What we know about the Australian Sprint Division as a general rule is that it's stronger than the Sprint Division over here. When the foreign challengers have come over in recent years, they have tended to prove a little bit better than our sprinters. That was backed up again with both the sprint races at Royal Ascot going to foreign raiders. Sepoy, they've brought him over here. They're going to be keen to win the Darley July Cup, and I think that they might just do it with him. He was described in Australia as a speed machine, and given the number of Group 1 performances that he's got under his belt, I've got a suspicion he might be one of the best horses in this race and possibly prove too good for Almop.
It's the classic manoeuvre with Power, a horse that's tried the classics, even won one in Ireland, but the feeling perhaps that he might do better dropped in trip.
I just wonder whether he's quite good enough, really. I think if we give the last run, he was held up towards the rear and going okay when getting hampered and the race was over. But I'm just not sure the evidence is there that I know he's a classic winner, I'm just not sure he's quite good enough.
I'm going to go for Bated Breath. He's consistently good enough, and this time he's going to get his.
It's Sepoy for me, described as a speed machine in Australia. 10 from 13 in his career. He's also a winning machine. I think that he might just prove good enough to win the July Cup.
Hortensia for me. We didn't see her at her best at Ascot, but she is better than that, and she worked really well on the track, so I think she's primed for this.